Civil War began. At first, it went badly for the communists. In March 1947, Mao announced to his troops that they would withdraw from Yan'an because of a successful nationalist advance. But Yan'an was only a symbol and not the base of their power. Their real power lay in the vast countryside of North China and Manchuria. It had been built up during the war with Japan, when moderate reforms had attracted support from all economic levels of society. Now the communist leadership decided to expand their support by concentrating on the poor. They launched a radical land reform movement, attacking their old allies in the prosperous middle class.
In Li Laoqi's house, we first drove out his cattle and pigs. Then we took all the furniture, cabinets, and trunks out of his house. We took all his clothes, too. After that, we shut him up in a small room and told him to write a confession. Then the people wanted to struggle with him. They shouted, "Li Laoqi, you must confess honestly. Who did you exploit? How much money have you piled up? Where have you hidden it? You must confess." We struggled with him for a long time. He had buried his silver dollars underground. We got him to confess where he had hidden the money.
As the poor divided up the land of the prosperous, many communists were torn between the demands of the party and of their families. Even veteran party members were attacked. Land reform had become mob rule. It tore families and villages apart. The communists began to lose support. In December 1947, Mao urged restraint. 5 months later, the movement was stopped. The communists tried to minimize the damage and backtracked to their moderate wartime policies. They managed to salvage peasant support. In the cities, people's lives had not improved after the war. Massive economic problems were undercutting Jiang's support. The government's financial policies were chaotic.
The currency system changed many times. The old Fabi paper money was changed to the new Fabi paper money. Then that was changed to the gold yuan. Then, when there weren't enough gold yuan, it was changed to the yuan shikai silver dollars. There was also gold, and even American dollars were used. The currency system was in complete chaos. So when people got paid in the morning, they would rush to buy things because prices would rise by the afternoon. Sometimes the price would double. People had a rough time.
The homeless and starving filled city streets. Black market trading and corruption were widespread. To make matters worse, in 1947, floods in the south destroyed the rice crop. And in the north, there was a devastating famine. In response, the United Nations Relief Agency sent millions of dollars in aid. America continued to send vast quantities of war surplus and millions more dollars to help Jiang in his struggle against the communists. Many were certain that Jiang's family was embezzling huge amounts of this aid. He and his wife continued to ask for more. In 1947, President Truman sent Albert Wedemeyer back to China to assess the situation. Although it was clear that Chiang's government was corrupt and losing support, for America there was no alternative. Wedemeyer urged Chiang to effect immediate, drastic political and economic reforms. At the same time, he recommended more U.S. aid. But American aid could not win the war for Chiang. He made the crucial mistake of overextending his forces in the north. The communists responded with a change in tactics. They mounted a major offensive against the nationalist armies in the cities. The change of tactics worked. By November 1948, after only a month and a half, the communists won control of North China.
Nationalist troops were crossing over to us in divisions and armies.
After 8 years of fighting Japan, nobody wanted to fight anymore. Even I didn't want to fight anymore. Chiang Kai-shek reprimanded me. This war has to be fought. If we don't wipe out the communists, we'll die without a place to be buried. We've got to go all out. I couldn't say anything to that. He was my teacher, my academy commandant. He
had cracked 12th Army.
Our movements were slow. Our equipment was heavy, cumbersome. We were fighting, retreating, and bringing up reinforcements simultaneously. Our formations were beaten back bit by bit. We would be wiped out in 1 day, 2 days' time. So I gave the order to flee. That saved some people. On December 15th, we broke out in several places. My deputy commander and I got into a tank and fled. We fled to a place about 15 miles from Chengduiji. That evening, the evening of December 15th, the tank I was in broke down, couldn't move. So we got out and fled on foot. The communists were everywhere. And they caught me. I became their prisoner. The nationalists failed because we completely lost the people's support. I had heard that during the Northern Expedition, the people gave us flowers and food. During the war against Japan, the people provided intelligence and helped us resist the Japanese. Once the Civil War started, we couldn't find anyone to give us even road directions. There's a saying in China, the water that carries the boat can also overturn it.
On January 21st, 1949, 11 days after the battle for central China, Chiang Kai-shek resigned. In Shanghai, people were leaving in droves. Chiang Kai-shek and his government retreated to the island of Taiwan. It was carefully planned. They took a huge part of China's art treasures and all of the central bank reserves. U.S. aid followed.
The last shipments of arms and ammunition were sent to Taiwan, not to China. The government of Chiang Kai-shek had already made its preparations for transfer to Taiwan. So we never stopped supporting Chiang Kai-shek.
Chiang did not give up all hope.
父亲第一个指示就是如何检讨我们过去的失败。
My father's first order was for us to examine our past mistakes, both domestic and international. Secondly, we should prepare to recover the
他
mainland.
从来没讲过说反攻大陆，反攻大陆是用军队打过
He
去。
never said we should fight our way
这是
back.
诺曼底的事情。而我们今后对大陆上
What we should do was help the people on the mainland overthrow the
来推翻执政
regime.
权，而我们响应着来配合。
So we've been making preparations based on this order since the first day in
开头我
Taiwan.
们就一直在准备。